Clerk, can we please have a roll call?
Yes. Mayor Ryan,
Here?
Vice Mayor Llewellyn,
Here.
Commissioner James. Here. Commissioner Salvino.
Here.
And for the record, and I believe our city attorney will address it, Commissioner Davis is absent.
Yes, Eve, if you could please read the
Thank-
memorandum from...
Thank you. Commissioner Davis has issued a memorandum that's, a copy is before each of you. She's in Washington, D.C. at the National League of Cities Congress City Conference. Late yesterday evening, she was given a schedule to meet with the federal state legislators. These meetings are arranged by the National League of Cities on behalf of the local elected officials. She has meetings that were scheduled for today with Senator Marco Rubio, Senator Rick Scott, Congresswoman Wasserman Schultz. And these meetings are in support of the City of Dania Beach's legislative agenda and objectives. Regrettably, the timing of these meetings necessitated a change to her schedule to return in time for this meeting. So she requests that the Commission consider her request to excuse her absence from the March 28, 2023 City Commission regular meeting. Thank you. Is there any objection to her request?
Commissioner James?
I make a motion to approve, excuse her absence.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Second,
Third.
all right. Her absence is excused. Can we all please bow our heads for a moment of silence? Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Mayor, the clerk has to make sure that we're entered.
Oh, okay. Clerk, please call roll for the manager
Yes.
and attorney.
City Manager Garcia,
Present.
City Attorney Butsis.
Present.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, we'll move on to item 3.1 for our presentations and special event approvals, and we'll start with the 2023 Plywood Regatta. This is a Parks and Recreation item.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor and City Commission, this is a wonderful event that has gone through all the departments and all the approvals, and we ask for your support.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Item 3.1 is passed. Item 3.2, we have the CDBG Year 49 5-year plan presentation by Colin Donnelly.
What about 3.2? There's 3.2.
There was
There's
an
no
addendum.
3.2, yeah.
There was an addendum that revised the schedule, and 3.2 was removed from the agenda.
Oh, I missed it.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioner, City Manager, City Attorney, and Madam Clerk. Tonight I'm going to present the 49th year Community Development Block Grant application as part of a greater plan for the OASIS program in conjunction with CDBG funding. Yep, thank you. Tonight's presentation will cover 4 main issues. First, I'll provide an overview of HUD's CDBG program, its eligible and ineligible activities. Next is an overview on the CDBG program and OASIS program, past projects, an overview of the program elements, and I'll touch on the reimagination of the OASIS elements. I also propose a 5-year OASIS CDBG plan to construct 1 OASIS project per year using a mix of capital funds and CDBG funding. And we'll also review eligible areas and where these proposed projects are located around the city. Lastly, I will touch on a demonstration of how the CDBG OASIS program aligns with the city strategic plan. The Community Development Block Grant was first created by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development under Title I of the Housing and Community Act of 1974. Its primary objective was to develop viable and urban cities, to address decent housing, suitable living environments, and to expand economic opportunities for low and moderate income peoples. The CDBG program is administered by Broward County for small cities like Dania Beach. We're known as a non-entitlement city, and those are cities that have a population less than 50,000. The grant is formula-based, based on our population. Broward County assumes the responsibility for grant management and reporting. For HUD, this is their 49th year of this program. That's why we call it the 49th year. So this is a program this city's been involved with for that long. I'm sorry. So you may wonder what these funds can be used for. Generally, HUD funding can be used for housing, the purchase of the real property, public facilities, public services, economic development, community-based organizations, planning administration. What we can't use the funds for would be buildings for general government use, general government expenses, the purchases of equipment, the purchase of personal property, income payments, operational and maintenance expenses, and one-time payments. You'll notice up on the screen the public facilities highlighted in red. This is the category of eligible activities that the Dania Beach projects fall into. Quite simply, they're construction projects in the right-of-way or on public land. Some projects in the past have included Oasis neighborhood program improvements and solar lighting projects. This is just a quick overview of Oasis. The program started in 2011 with a pilot program on Southwest 3rd Avenue in the Dania Heights neighborhood to address crime and to invest in the public right-of-way to stabilize neighborhoods and to encourage private property owners to invest in their property. Some of the projects were funded with CDBG funding or city general funds or a mixture of both. If you look on the map, it shows 15 projects have been completed to date, and the highlighted areas show those projects. And as you can see, they're spread throughout the city in a lot of different areas. The Oasis program has design elements. We do that with neighborhood input. And as you can see from the pictures, there's a wide variety of elements that go into Oasis project. There's crosswalks and ADA improvements, decorative street and traffic signs, paver block traffic calming, paver block driveway aprons and drainage improvements, swale improvements, mailboxes, decorative pedestrian lighting, street paving. And as we go forth into this next batch of Oasis projects, we're looking to bring on a new engineer and to meet with the communities and to get their input, see what other elements they may like in the program, and what they'd like to see on their street. They can use these templates as they already have, or if we can come up with other great uses. That's why we're calling it a reimagination. The map you're looking at, it may seem familiar with you. The dark lines are Dania Beach's boundaries. The light blue lines are census block and track data lines. And the mustard colored areas are the block and lots in the census tracts that are eligible for CDBG funding. Also, under HUD rules, our CRA, the entire CRA is eligible for CDBG funding. The first project that we're proposing is in the Bird Point neighborhood. The second area that we're looking to do is off of Griffin Road between the canal up around 46th Street. The third project we're looking to do is in the Playland Estates, and that's Southwest 49th Street. The fourth project is back to the original Oasis area and looking to do Southwest 13th and 12th Avenue. And the last one is in the Northeast, up around Northeast 2nd Street. These projects have not been designed or their boundaries fixed in any way. However, we'd like to use this as a roadmap over the next 5 years to complete OASIS's projects with the assistance of CDBG funding. The proposed 5-year OASIS CDBG project is in line with the city's strategic plan, Dania Beach Vision 2036. Under the category of great neighborhoods, we'll accomplish this by creating a sense of neighborhood integrity and pride, as well as maintaining well-maintained neighborhoods and infrastructure. Another category is partnership with the community. By listening to the impact and feedback from the community and incorporating this into the OASIS design. Under tonight's public hearing, item 4.9, there's a resolution authorizing the city manager to submit the 49th year CDBG application for our neighborhood OASIS improvement program in the Northwest Bird Point neighborhood. Public comments on the application will be taken. Thank you. I appreciate your time, and I will answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Donnelly. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Commissioner James?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Colin, when you say you wanted to do the first project of the CDBG OASIS program in the Bird Point neighborhood, where exactly?
Well, we're looking at around Southwest 5th Avenue, where Mr. Collins lives. He had been advocating for a while to do that, so we're looking at doing 3 or 4 blocks in that area.
Yeah. What I will say about that area is, although I'm all in favor for doing that street, that area, if we don't really have a handle on the loitering and the crime, especially on that street, I don't want it to turn out like the one that's by, oh my gosh, the Smith store. It's completely not maintained because we don't really have a handle on, you know, the activity that's going there. So I don't want it to be put there and then it looks bad because the one there looks bad over there by Addicks Middle School in that area. It looks bad. And so as long as we have a plan to address to make sure that it continues to look nice, I'm in favor for it, especially in honor of Mr. Collins. But we definitely need to have a plan moving forward about, you know, how it's going to be upkept because we're investing monies that can go elsewhere if, you know, we don't have that plan.
We'll put that into consideration when we redesign the plan.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for this moment of privilege. I want to take this opportunity to introduce to you all. I'm extremely excited. A couple of months ago, I met with our former Major Kevin Glanville. He's been a friend of the city and a personal friend of mine for quite some time. And he brought me this really amazing young lady to introduce to me. And at the time, she was being considered to be our next major, as Major Glanville was retiring. And I remember at that moment, I had such a great connection. I said to her, "You're going to be our next major." I locked her in on my phone as the major. And last week, she called me that it's official. And I'd like to take this time to welcome her and have all of you welcome her as well. Our new major, Stephanie Corker. And what a great time at the end of Women's History Month that they've named our new major. So we're extremely thrilled.
Thank you. Thank you, City Manager. I appreciate that. Good evening, Mayor, City Commissioners. It's such an opportunity to be here before you guys tonight. Thank you for the awesome introduction. Yes, I am your new major for the South Region. I've worked with your captain for over the last 7-8 years together, so we have a phenomenal working relationship, and we just want to continue that forward. So as we move forward and anything you guys need that I can assist the captain with, please don't hesitate to ask. We're here, I'm here, and I look forward to working with each and every one of y'all. So thank you. Thank
you, Major. Welcome aboard. Pleasure to have you. Thank you, Manager. Okay, we'll move on to the 3.4 IT Master Plan presentation by Information Technology and Avero Advisors, LLC.
Hello. Hi, good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, Madams, City Clerk, City Manager, and City Attorney. My name is Darryl McFarlane. I'm the IT Division Director here at the City of Dania Beach. We're here today to speak about the IT Master Plan. That was one of the things that was on the overall strategic plan for the city. This was a high priority item that was mentioned. And quite frankly, was one of the reasons, one of the decision makers on why I decided to come here to the City of Dania Beach, seeing that you all were highly invested in the information technology structure of the city and willing to provide the investments that are required to do so. I've been here a little bit over a year now, and we've made several changes to make things better in different areas, in areas of cybersecurity, some network hardening, infrastructure changes, some overall application changes, just things like that that we've been able to do a little bit outside of the scope of the strategic plan, and with the backing of the some of the purchases that we've already made through the purchasing guidelines, with the backing of the city manager and you all and the CFO. I wanted to thank you all for your, the past support and the continued support in doing, excuse me, in providing the resources that the IT department needs in order to keep the city safe and with the technology that's needed to proceed. I wanted to introduce Avero Advisors here. They're the consultants that we hired to oversee the master plan, so they're going to go ahead and come up and speak on it.
Thank you, Darryl. Good evening, Mayor Ryan, City Manager, City Commission. My name is Tyler Gallant, Project Manager with Avero Advisors, and led this engagement of the IT Master Plan project. So I had the pleasure of working closely with all the city departments and getting to know the city, and it's been absolutely wonderful. We're just going to jump right in. I was told about the clicker. That one?
All right.
Okay. All right, and then using this one? Yes. Okay. Oh, okay. We're gonna get it. All right. So, we're just gonna give a brief presentation here. We'll do a quick introduction, talk a little bit about the project team, project methodology, the timeline, the different deliverables. We'll, preview or show the strategic plan, the roadmap, and then the estimate of annual investments. And then we'll leave time for any questions afterwards. So this is the project team. We all had the pleasure of meeting with all the different departments. Joined here with our senior manager, Andrew Hayes. We both have had the pleasure of being on many IT strategic plans for cities, counties, towns all over the country. So it was really great to work with the city of Dania Beach. And the rest of the team gives their regards as well. This is the project methodology. It was broken up into two different phases. The first was, mainly focusing on discovery, meeting with all the different departments and understanding, what are their main issues as it relates to IT, both technology and service. And then the second phase was, based on those gaps that we identified, based on those problems, we developed, a master roadmap for what strategies will need to be implemented in the future to mitigate those issues that we identified. And it just gives you a brief breakdown of the timeline as well. From we started in November, and now we're happy to be here in March. You know, with the deliverables finalized. So the main deliverables for this project, we had the cybersecurity risk assessment, which due to its sensitivity, we're not previewing for obvious reasons. And then we have the current state IT assessment that just, you know, gave a good recap of, you know, what are all the main issues. And then also, you know, we talked with each department about what is their vision, you know, based on what they know about their department and their functional areas. You know, what IT improvements do they see, you know, really making an impact on their department? And then from there, we developed the IT strategic roadmap, and then, which I'll be previewing here in just a second, and then the IT master plan report as well. Oh, that is very tiny up there. All right. Well, so this is the IT master roadmap. You can't see it that well, but I promise it's a breakdown of the just what projects you know, we've prioritized for the next 5 years. So 2023 to 2023 to 2027. We have it broken up into, you know, 4 main categories. So we have, at the top, we have security first. You know, that should be at the forefront of every organization these days. You know, making sure that we're doing an annual review of our cybersecurity plan to make sure that we're, you know, getting out in front of any of those major risks. Next, we have the digital city experience, and that one, the strategies in that category focus on, you know, providing those digital experiences for, you know, the citizens that we serve, making sure that they're able to, you know, make payments online, and, you know, that you're able to offer more services to them than them just coming into the city physically. Infrastructure resiliency, we look at, you know, the fiber optic plan, we look at just making sure that the city's infrastructure is, you know, is in place to support all of the operations that the city provides. And then data-driven decisions, that's really looking at what are your enterprise systems, what systems do you have in place to support your staff's day-to-day operations. And then we have the estimate of annual investment. This is broken out by year. And this includes external consulting fees. This includes you know, annual software as a service fees, and so it's just a breakdown by year of what the total annual investment would be. And like I said, we're going to keep it nice and brief for you. We're happy to break out and you know, inform into any kind of workshop that you would like to dive into this in a little bit more detail. We have a 70-page report as well that I'm sure you're all familiar with. We're happy to meet and talk more with you as needed. Thank you so much for your time.
Mr. Gallant, just a question. I saw those figures. We spent $311,000 this year on IT, and then it's $1,311,000 the following year, and then it's what, $891,000 from what I see.
Mm-hmm.
So the $1 million increase, that's the new program that we're implementing.
That includes that includes software fees. That includes external consulting fees. That also includes annual fees from the previous year.
Okay.
So that's something that's often overlooked. Is you don't plan for. Once it's implemented and once it is in place, you still have to make payments, and so we just wanted to make sure that was accounted for.
Okay, great. Thank you for the clarification on that.
Yes.
Commissioner James?
Sorry, yes, I too had a similar question. Of the $3.4 million, what percentage is your fee?
I mean, we didn't.
He don't know his own fee?
So good evening, Commissioner, good evening, Mayor, and everyone else in attendance tonight. First, I just want to clarify something, and I want to give a little more, at least paint a bigger picture of the amount of time and the hours that were spent. They met with every city department. They met with some of them multiple times, and there is a 69-page report that I don't expect any of you to read, but it really does lay out a detailed roadmap of potential future investments for the city into the future. And the 3.4 million is an estimate of if we were to undertake every single one of the recommended ideas and options that are in there, what it would cost the city. And it's just estimates. It doesn't mean that we're going to. And in fact, there's one in particular that, and by the way, none of that includes their fees. We would scope out each individual project. They're not here to get more work from the city just by default because they did a report for us. So they're just a consultant that helped us with the work, and they're more than welcome to submit proposals for any work that we do going forward. We don't have an ongoing continuing contract to do more services with them. So, and one of the big projects in there is a replacement of the city's ERP system, which is not something that we're definitely going to do. It's something that we're going to explore and look at for the future, and that's probably the single biggest cost that's in that proposal. But there's other projects that are also being scoped out in there, one of which we discussed last week with the city manager's office, which is looking at putting in the fiber optic down to the beach so that we have a really strong and stable internet connection down there for our public Wi-Fi, for at the beach, for the marina, for all the amenities that we have. So we're trying to push this into really touching all areas of the city and mostly impacting our external users and the customers that we deal with on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, so of the presentation, when I hear consultants and their prices are included in that, I want to know if from the estimate, you guys got the estimate from numbers, how much of the 3.4 and the estimate are for consultant fees?
That I don't have the exact number on, but there's general estimates for each of the scope of work that's in there for each individual item, because we probably will need some consulting assistance with that. But most of the costs are going to be actual software implementation or purchases of technologies.
Okay, can y'all give me that number, please?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll get back to you with that.
Also, my second question was going to be about the city-wide Wi-Fi. Are we just doing the beach? Because I heard you speak about the beach, but what about the rest of the city?
It's extremely expensive the way to make it really work would be to do a fiber optic connection between all of our city sites, like a big ring of miles of underground fiber optic cable, which is extremely labor intensive and expensive. So the first phase would be to the area that we don't have any real connectivity right now is the beach, and we have a tremendous amount of people congregating there on a daily and weekly basis. The parks that we have, they all have a strong internet connection right now. It's a commercial business connection, and we can expand out Wi-Fi in those facilities. It won't be the greatest, but it can be done, and it can be done pretty well. The beach, we just don't have any options. We've worked with all the providers, and they don't have answers for us. We can't do mobile. The cell connectivity is bad down there. So the best way for us to make an impact that affects a tremendous number of people is to run that down to the beach. And actually, we could connect off Ross Park and IT Parker along the way just because they're along that same vein. That was our idea for our first phase. Second phase would be to head west and go towards the other area, because then we would shoot all the way out west down, to PJ Mealy and out to the police station out there.
So within that phase, is there a phase eventually to have the entire city with citywide Wi-Fi, or are we just doing the parks or the areas that we own?
The idea is to do the facilities that we own and the property, and the surrounding vicinity would be able to siphon off on that Wi-Fi. We actually, there's already telecom providers throughout the city, and we can't install our own utility basically to put them out of business. So that's what effectively would happen. So we just can't run our own Wi-Fi and our own telecom throughout the entire city. So we can do it at our facilities, and people that are in the surrounding area would benefit from that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Frank. Thank you, Mr. Gallant. Mr. Hayes, appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Okay, for item 3.5, we have a community development item, a special events application request to host Supercar Saturday, scheduled for April 8th, 2023 at Dania Beach Casino.
Yes, thank you for adding us so quickly, last minute.
Please state your name. and
My name
address.
is John Hirsch,
John Hirsch.
on behalf of Supercar Saturdays.
Address, please.
My address
Yes.
is 800 East Broward Boulevard, Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Thank you, Mr. Hirsch.
Thank you.
ahead.
We've had exotics at Dania Point with you guys, and it was a success. And once again, thank you guys. You are all really easy and outgoing and very hospitable to have us in your area. So we thought that we would try, and Supercar Saturday we've had for 7 years, and we thought that we wanted to bring it to your community since we've had success here already, and it's not as big as the one at Dania Point. It's just a meetup for like 3 hours where we come and meet up, and people get to see the city, the casino where we were going to have in the parking lot. They have a few restaurants that they said they would open so people could see what's going on there and learn about that facility and food and meet up and then leave. Unlike Exotics at Dania Point, we're not going to have any vendors or anything like that. It's simply a meetup.
Okay, and you said it's only 3 hours?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
We've already discussed with BSO, since we work with them and have a history of working with them, that they'll be out also making sure that everything runs smooth like they did at Dania Point.
Yes, yeah, I was aware you guys are getting a police officer. Commissioner James?
Make a motion to approve.
I have a second from Vice Mayor. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right.
Thank you guys so much.
Congratulations, Mr. Hirsch, thank you. Okay. Next, we're going to move into proclamations. We have one proclamation today we'd like to make. Commissioner Davis, who's not here, wanted to make this proclamation for Earth Day. So, whereas this is a proclamation from the Office of the Mayor, City of Dania Beach, Florida. Whereas the first Earth Day was celebrated on April 22nd, 1977, when San Francisco activist John McConnell and Wisconsin Senator Gaylord Nelson asked Americans to join in a grassroots demonstration. And whereas Earth Day 2023 will mark the 53rd anniversary of the birth of this modern environmental movement. Each year, Earth Day is assigned a different theme or area of focus. This year's theme is Invest in Our Planet. And whereas all people, regardless of race, gender, income, or geography, have a right to a healthy, sustainable environment with economic growth and opportunity. And whereas enhancing and improving our green economy will require cooperation across the sectors of society. We are all caretakers of our planet and have an obligation to combat climate change and environmental degradation to preserve the Earth's beauty as well as its resources. And whereas this obligation extends not only to today's caretakers, but also to future generations who will inherit our planet. On this 53rd anniversary of Earth Day, the City of Dania Beach is committed to building on the successes we have achieved so far, and in support of investing in our planet, the city is hosting a Keep Dania Beach Pristine Earth Day is Every Day, a beach cleanup which is on April 20th from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m., and we invite everyone to come out and join us. So April 20th, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m., we have a cleanup day on the beach to keep Dania Beach pristine. So now, therefore, on behalf of the City of Dania Beach City Commission, I, A.J. Ryan IV, Mayor of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, do hereby proclaim Saturday, April 22nd, 2023 as Earth Day in the City of Dania Beach and encourage all our citizens to use Earth Day 2023 to celebrate our planet and promote the protection of our environment. This date, March 28th, 2023. Okay, and now we have citizen comments, and we'll start with Mr. Michael Owen Sarton. Mr. Owen, please come up, state your name and address.
For the record, Michael Owen Sarton, 746 Southwest 3rd Street on Dania Beach. I am opposed to what I think shows up as item 5 on tonight's agenda. Thank you. There was, there was a review I made of the accompanying memorandum, and the only cities that we were comparing ourselves to were South Florida cities. Some of the cities that I quickly found where you don't go around naming public facilities after the living people are in alphabetical order, and I could have done all 26 of the alphabet. Anchorage, Alaska, Burbank, California, Concord, Massachusetts, Dallas, Texas. That was 3 minutes of work on my part. It's not a valid comparison. one of the advantages of dead people is that they no longer do anything illegal and they no longer embarrass you. Moreover, it's not, as some finance committee felt, free. There are questions in it where the Supremacy Act is brought into question. Article 1 of the Constitution is brought into question. And that, when it ends up in federal court, ladies and gentlemen, it gets expensive. I don't know what the Greece case cost, but those of you who know probably have an idea of how much the city of Greece spent on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sarton. Okay, next we have a Nikki Hansen. I'm sorry. Mrs. Hansen.
Hello there.
Wow. I know your husband well.
Yeah, well, I know your father very well. I know your uncles very well. I know everybody very well. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much. I just have some issues.
Please state your name and address.
Yeah, my name's Nikki Hansen, 200 Southeast 5th Avenue in Dania Beach, Florida, 33004. Phone number? You want it? Just a couple of things about the beach. I do enjoy the beach. I walk around the beach a lot. So I've complained before, probably to Cahoots, about advertising, putting a sign up there on the bathrooms when they're not functioning. There's no place to call. I was there Saturday or Sunday, and the toilets were running. And I tried to pull them out, and it was just running and running. Instead of me looking for somebody, it would have been easier if I found that phone number outside the men's and the ladies' room. You only have 2 places that you can need signs for the bathroom to say if it's not functioning. And I've spoken to other people that are working there, and I said, why do you open at 7? And there's no toilet paper, there's no soap, that's not open. It's just, whatever. So I spoke to Eric Brown, and he said that he will bring that up and he'll address that. Sargassum is coming, the seaweed. So I don't know if anybody has been speaking to Broward about what we can do to prevent it, to get to the seashore, if there's a way to prevent it. I talked to Beach Raker, and they said they only do it once in the morning, and they rake the beach early in the morning, and they bury it, or they take it off and they sell it. So they're making money on your, on your product there. But Mexico has a barrier. They have the naval force out there, and they have a barrier that catches it because they know that the tourists, it's killing them. So if you had a way to prevent it from coming in, and the ones that do come in, you have the beach raker doing it, or if you had a way of taking it yourself and harvesting it somehow. And there's usage for that. And the last thing I have is the beach passes. I was just wondering, maybe you could do it for 2 years, with the option of 2 years, because just like the car registration, you have 2 years on the car registration. You can take it 1 or 2. But I just figured, well, it's revenue for you. If they don't use it, there's no refund anyhow. So if you get 2 years out of it, why not? That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Hansen. Commissioner Salvino?
Thank you, Ms. Hansen, for that information. Reaching back a little bit here on some of the conversations you said, I thought we had discussed about the signs 4 or 5 months ago, and this is nothing that's happened yet, I guess. Can somebody address that? Because I know that it shouldn't take that long to put signs anywhere.
We're working on a signage package. We were discussing that are going to go in all the facilities. The majority of the facilities have that information. We're also working on a newsletter that's going to go out to all our residents. That's going to have all the different numbers to call for all the different departments and who to get in contact for everything. And those signs will be in the beach within the next couple of weeks.
Next couple weeks, okay. Yeah, okay, that's good. I just know that we talk about it, and her coming up here, I have not followed up on I don't micromanage your departments, but when somebody comes up again after 4 or 5 months, I think it should have been done by now, but I know you have plans and stuff like that, but maybe we can try to expedite some of the future things like that, certain things that, especially the beach area where people, facilitate.
You know what, Commissioner, when we're looking at the signage, we're also looking to put a package together because, for example, we're going to be putting the parking signs to let everybody know about the parking garage. And I think it was Commissioner James that talked about to make sure that, rather than just put a sign, to make sure that we have a uniform plan of the signage that we put throughout the city.
thank
So
you.
that's what we're working on.
Okay, and also, I think it's a good idea on the parking pass. It probably cut down on our time, plus it gives the benefit of whether they move or not, it's still an opportunity to take the cash up front, whether they live here in Dania Beach. I know we can't always worry about that, but that's another stepping stone that we can maybe take a look at. You can discuss with your internal people. And then on the other thing, the seaweed, good luck. I mean, that's I couldn't even give you the answer. I know if you've been watching the news, it's terrible up in the Panhandle, and it's not just a couple feet. So we've had that issue for many, many years, and it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. So.
Yes, and by the way, if I may, through the mayor, we've actually, Eric Brown, Director Brown, we've gotten quotes to see if we could do it more often, but it's not a good investment because we do it in the morning and there's not so much that we could do. But the mayor and I were just talking about the beach passes for our residents, and that'll be part of one of the things that we put also in the article. But if we can even put it out there, a 2-year pass option. Thank you so much for that idea.
The final thing, and I'll be done. I think, Nikki, if you think that seaweed's worth something, you can pick it up and sell it, okay?
Pick it up and
Don't get Nikki put in jail. Don't do that, Nikki. That's Mother Nature, and I just think we have to learn how to just enjoy the phases that Mother Nature puts us through. I know it's not always comfortable, and I, for one, am not stepping on it. I'm not touching it, any of that. But there are some people that love it. And swimming and stuff. I think I'm being attacked, but those are for beach lovers. Is there anything temporary that we could put up if there's no signage? I know that we're working on something more permanent, but seeing as though how busy our beach is, just something that's temporary, or maybe if out of order call or something that could be communicated with.
We're going to put something
staff.
temporary. Well, even if we have to laminate it and make it look nice, we'll put that.
Just something.
Yes. There's Director Brown.
Good evening, all. Eric Brown, Parks Director. So we have those see something, say something signs throughout the beach. If you're walking up the ramp, and I understood what she was telling me earlier, we're going to make sure that we have them near the restroom as well. My number is there. I get a call every weekend about something because our parks number is there. So there are signage on the beach, but she's talking about in the restrooms themselves. So
correct.
Fernando and I are going to work on that and have something there this week.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, now we're moving on to one of the highlights of the evening, our public safety reports. We're going to start with Captain Marks. Oh, not Captain Marks. A little taller.
Yes. For those who don't know me, but everyone knows me, in the audience who know me, I'm Lieutenant Tarala. I'm the executive officer in the district. So good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, and City Manager. I have a little lengthy tonight. We had a very busy couple weeks in the city, so I wanted to highlight some of the incidents we had and inform you. We had a couple really critical incidents that had some very positive outcomes, so I wanted to highlight that, some of the hard work that our guys did. To begin with, Dania Point, unfortunately, over the last couple weeks, we've had some robberies that have occurred in Dania Point on the weekends. So we put together a operation of undercover units in Dania Point. Last weekend, another incident happened, and as soon as that incident happened where an individual got his bike stolen, we had units immediately in the vicinity. So as soon as the bike was stolen, our units within 30 seconds identified the suspects. As they were fleeing, once the suspects were identified, we located the group of teenagers, we located the stolen bicycle, we were able to recover the property. The victim, who had his bike stolen, identified the suspects. They were positively identified, and the suspect gave a full confession. Our robbery detectives believe that that group of individuals are also the juveniles that are responsible for the prior thefts that we had of the sneakers that were in the prior robbery. So our detectives working with gangs are backtracking. They did not confess to those previous crimes, but we believe that is the same individuals that were responsible for those 2 previous robberies. So that is ongoing. Once we get a solution to that or a resolution, I will let you guys know on that. Last week, at 9 o'clock in the morning, our units responded to the Motel 6. It began as a welfare check of a possibly armed, mentally ill individual. Upon arrival to the Motel 6, our deputies observed a yellow Jeep Wrangler parked in the middle of the Motel 6 with a 12-pack of beer on top. And when they looked inside the Wrangler, in plain view, they observed a open Glock gun box with a bunch of rounds spread throughout the car. At the same time, a individual inside the hotel said they believed that this individual was armed and fled the area. We immediately began to lock down the hotel for the safety of the residents. We began to search the area. We located an individual in the woods, the lake area in the woods behind the Motel 6. At that point, we attempted to build a rapport with the individual who had no contact with us, who refused to speak to us. We began a dialogue with him over the PA, tried to build a rapport with him, refused to answer with us. At that point, we didn't want to make a walk out into that area because it was such a difficult area to get to him. And at that point, we didn't see a weapon, so we didn't know what he had. We stayed back, and we continued to attempt to speak to him. After about an hour, the gentleman got up, and at that point, he reached behind him, and he had a firearm on him that we were able to see. So at that point, obviously, the entire dynamics changed for us. We started calling the SWAT team, our hostage negotiation team. It was about a 5-hour incident at the Motel 6 where our units continued a dialogue with that gentleman for a peaceful resolution. After about 5 hours, we came up with a tactical plan to get that individual into custody peacefully, and we were able to get him into custody peacefully without anybody getting hurt, including him. We recovered the firearm, and that subject was placed into custody, and he's still in jail. So that was a very peaceful resolution that could have been very violent very quickly. A day after that, unfortunately, we had an incident where there was a domestic violence incident where a father and a son were attacked by a brother, and he was hit in the head with a shotgun. Upon arrival, we learned that a couple weeks earlier at that residence, there was an AK-47 that was fired in front of that residence. While we were there, the suspect was barricaded inside the house, and he made comments to us via the phone that if we attempted to come in the house, he was going to kill law enforcement and kill anyone that attempted to come in. We immediately began a rapport with him on the phone because, again, on that, we just want a peaceful resolution. Our deputies did a phenomenal job of evacuating the immediate area, getting anyone that was in that vicinity to safety. We called our hostage negotiation team, our SWAT team, began negotiations, and a couple hours later, we were able to peacefully get that same subject who just said he was going to kill everybody, including us, to a peaceful resolution, coming outside peacefully, and we were able to place him into custody peacefully. We did an RPO in the house where we got any weapons that were inside the house out into our custody. Again, a peaceful resolution. That could have been a very violent situation for everyone involved. So kudos to our deputies on that, too. Let's see. Last week, I know a lot of you heard about the media. It was in the media about the dogs that were rescued. We have a total of 64 dogs that were rescued out of that residence. Unfortunately, one died. I believe they had to euthanize another one. Well, that individual in that house that was identified, they charged him with 64 counts of felony animal cruelty. And on top of that, 64 counts of illegal carrying of an animal. And it's another felonies. So he's looking at, if you do the math, that's what, 128 felonies. So it was deplorable conditions for anyone, animals or anybody to be living in. So hopefully the state attorney will prosecute that to the fullest extent, and he'll get what he deserves. It was horrible conditions. Thank God we were able to get the dogs out while we could, and hopefully we'll be able to get homes for those animals down the road. Animal control played a huge part in that with us, so it was great that we were able to save those animals before they all died. We received numerous complaints over the last month. It referenced loud parties, block parties going on off of West Beach Boulevard and Northwest Fifth Avenue in that area. So we have began a operation to stop the parties. We have started on West Beach starting last week on Friday, Saturday nights. And we started from the 17th, and we started last weekend as well. We identified areas where they were selling narcotics. We immediately notified the city. And those brush and those trees where we identified they were selling narcotics have been eliminated. The city came out, cut the trees down, so that's gone. We've already started making arrests in that area. Last weekend and the weekend before, the block parties on West Beach are no longer there. We're well aware that they have now moved to other areas to the north, which what our game plan is to attempt to keep on pushing them north and get them out of the area altogether. Our job now is to make sure they don't circle back and circle to the south, back to West Beach. So we're going to put a plan to effect that as we begin to get them out, we have units stationed on West Beach, so hopefully they don't come back down to South Beach West Beach, as we start to push them out. So I know it's a work in progress. There's a lot of people. We're taking pictures. We're identifying. What I want to do is identify if those are our residents or people coming in from the outside as well. So Sergeant Seapot is putting together a book, and we're going to try to identify everyone who's out there and do our part on that. Simultaneously with this, we're also working a narcotics investigation, which I can't get into that location at the time, but Sergeant Seapot and his team has already made numerous felony narcotics arrests that we are working simultaneously with this. And as soon as this operation comes to an end, I'll provide everyone here with a detailed ops plan with the statistics and who and what we've arrested, whether they're Dania residents, whether they're coming from the outside, and I'll have that together with their names, addresses, and where they're coming from. Our Dania Beach substation is open in Dania Point, finally. I know it's been a long time coming, but we finally got it open. It is still not fully open, but we do have it open. As of right now, it is being staffed with one sergeant. Our commercial vehicle detective has been assigned to there, as well as our motorman. Our 2 homeless outreach detectives, and as well as our school resource deputies, have desks there. All Dania Beach deputies have access to that office 24/7, and it is now staffed with personnel Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., and anybody who comes up to that office, there will always be someone there from 6 a to 6 p. They knock on the door, we'll be able to help them. After hours, there's still a number on the door they can call. Unfortunately, after 6 p.m., it's not staffed yet, but the game plan will be as we go to the next phase, we're able to have that staff further after 6 p.m. as well as the weekends. But at least we have it up and running. Internet is being installed as we speak now, and we're hoping to have the internet fully operational by Friday. So Dania Point has been amazing. Lieutenant Rivera has helped us with that, along with Mr. Freeman, who's also awesome with us all the time. So hopefully Friday we'll have that up and running fully.
I wanted you to put on the record that Mr. Freeman, they've been very kind, and they're going to be flipping the bill until the commencement of next fiscal year.
Yes, ma'am. It's hefty. The bill's been hefty to get what we need for our agency, for our safe walls and what we need, and Mr. Freeman has flipped that bill until next year we can get it on our budget. So yeah, he's been extremely supportive of us to get that up and running. Yes, ma'am. We have on Saturday, April 22nd, again at Dania Point. This is going to be the first annual BSO autism event that Dania Point is putting on with BSO. We're going to be doing it from our downtown BSO along with our neighborhood response with Eric and Taryn. It's going to be at Dania Point. The location has not been pinned down yet, but Mr. Freeman is working on the exact location of it. It's going to be an autistic. It's going to be a day with autism, and they're inviting a autistic school to come out with a partnership with the Dan Marino Foundation. And there's going to be football players, hockey players, the mascots, and they're going to come out for a couple hours and provide food and activities for the kids. It'll be a really nice event. We haven't narrowed down exactly how big it's going to be, but it's definitely going to be on the 22nd. And I know Mr. Freeman will narrow down exactly where it's going to be inside Dania Point. And last, I know we have some vacancies. We're getting 2 new cadets coming out of the academy, and they will be starting with us April 5th. So those 2 are coming out of the police academy. So I know it was a little lengthy. Anyone have any questions? I know there was a lot I went over.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Commissioner James?
Yes, I know we're always very grateful and supportive of Dania Point. What is the security at Dania Point doing? Calling like we're calling, or like the...
What do you mean calling?
So there's a lot of crime that's happening, a lot of robberies, a lot of times that you guys are focusing your attention there because of things that are happening. Obviously, there's a lot of tourism and shoppers there. So what is the role of the Dania Point security officers that I see riding around?
You mean the BSO or the actual Dania Point security?
The ones that are provided by Dania Point, not you all.
The Dania Point security, they have radios and they have phones so they can call us directly. Their job is hopefully to deter crime. If they see something, say something, they can call us directly if they see something. Obviously, they're not armed, they're security guards, so they can't really take any action, and it's not their job to. but, you know, their job is to deter, hopefully, their visibility. They do a great job. They do call us all the time. But if they see something, they'll call us. Our detail deputies who are assigned to Dana Point, that are paid for by Dana Point, Kimco, they all have cell phones and radios directly with their security guards. So as soon as they see something, they call us directly.
Okay, I just want to make sure that, you know, there's not anything that they can do to improve what they're doing, but if you're telling me they're doing a great job.
Yeah, they have a lot of security guards. I can't give you the exact number of security guards. Mr. Freeman would have to tell you. But there's a lot of security guards in there, and they
Yeah.
call us directly, and they have us in there too. It's really a city with a city in there.
Well, if they're paying for you, I have no complaints.
No, they are. That's them footing the bill for us.
Commissioner James, if I may, through the mayor, I had this conversation with Brad Freeman, and currently in their budget, they have allocated $1 million for security. And as they prepare for next fiscal year, they're, you know, ready and willing to up the ante. It's very important to them.
I would absolutely get with Mr. Freeman, because I definitely think based on Spirit opening, the other apartment complex opening in the front, that they're going to have to increase security in law enforcement too, to add a third or fourth detail deputy in there, because the call volume alone in unfortunately, the crime in there, it's a lot. It really is its own little city in there.
Right, or maybe you all, like, I know that you sat with us before on how to make, you know, our city, you know, a more safe place, or little things that we can do. Maybe, you know, maybe they could benefit from that. Maybe they've already done that, but that was just a suggestion for me.
We also just got up and running. Mr. Freeman worked with our real-time crime center. We have access now to all the cameras. I mean,
Awesome.
I'm sure you guys are aware. If not, we have access now to the cameras in Dana Point. So God forbid there's an active shooter or there's anything of real violence of nature, we can get into their security system. Our downtown can get in instantaneously and give us that real-time crime. So we have access to their video feeds, which we never had before.
Great.
So that's amazing.
Everyone was up here knocking on the wood. So.
Yeah.
And lastly, you said what are the hours for the substation that is across the street from CW?
That one is the same hours, but it's Monday through Friday. We always have it staffed it should be staffed from 6 to 6. What I'd like to do is get that staffed with a person later on, but unfortunately with the manpower, we don't have a CSA to staff any of our substations past 6 o'clock. We always have officers at the substation across from CW coming and going, but after 6 o'clock, they're not staffed full-time. But the CW Thomas Park, there's always deputies there, but you're right, if it's busy and they're on for calls for service, there might not be someone there after 6 o'clock. I'd like to staff that full-time, but we don't have a CSA at nights to staff that. I'd love to do that.
What do you need?
We need another position for a CSA. A couple of that, if we could get a CSA to staff that at nighttime, we could have someone there at all time to be able to handle the walk-ins at night.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely. That's something we could talk about, because it would be fantastic if we could do that.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Anyone else?
Yes, Vice Mayor Llewellyn?
Thank you, Mayor. I know you said the autism event was on the 22nd. Did you say what time it was? I may have
I'm
missed
sorry. It's scheduled right now 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., but Mr. Freeman, when I spoke to him, he said that wasn't 100% guaranteed, but he said he believes it's going to be 10 to 12.
Okay.
And he's going to solidify what restaurant they're going to put in front of.
And is it, I know you said that they're partnering with a school.
Yes.
Is it just limited to the kids from that school?
He didn't tell me this is the first time they've ever done this. So he said they're still putting it together. But I'm sure if we talk to him and ask him if we can make it a bigger event and maybe get flyers out to the city and get that out, I'm sure he'd be okay with that.
Yeah, because I know a number of people that do have autistic children that
100%
would
I'll talk to 'em.
definitely be very interested in something
This is
like
still at
that.
the very beginning of their
Yeah.
planning stages. So I will ask him tomorrow if we can, open this up to other residents instead of just a school.
Thank you.
Thank you for your thorough and detailed report, Lieutenant. I
Yes, sir.
appreciate it.
No worries.
Thank you.
Okay, Chief Pellicer, what do you got for us?
My report's not as long. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, City staff, and our great citizens of Dania Beach. I'd like to start out by letting you know that the fire department currently, we do a biannual bunker gear cleaning, which basically it's all our gear that we wear when we respond to a fire or any emergency scene. So biannually, we take that gear. We have a private vendor come in, pick it up in the morning when we're getting off shift, and it's back within 24 hours. What they do is they make sure that all the gear is intact. make sure that it's still currently under date, because all the gear has a 10-year, for the most part, all the gear has a 10-year life. So we have to make sure that we keep on top of it. That's what's going to save our lives in case we ever have to enter a very hot fire or building. Also, our Class 2301 started back on March 6th of this year. They're spending a lot of time at Broward Fire Academy in Davie. In partnership with Hollywood Fire Department, they spend a lot of time at that fire academy. And they also spend some time up in Deerfield. And they will culminate with a run from Dania Beach to the fire station here when they're done with their training. So when that happens, I'll let you know so you can come say hello to them and meet them. Also, lately we've had what we called ARF training, which is basically a lot of our units respond to the airport once in a while. We get a major fire. So a lot of our firefighters are trained in learning how to fight a airport fire or an airline fire. And lastly, keeping with tradition, on April 19th, we're going to host a push-in ceremony, and we're going to welcome our new crew. So it'll be April 19th at 3:30. I know Maxine already reached out to all of you, so I hope to see you all there. And I know it's right before the commission workshop, so I'll make sure that I have some snacks for you afterwards so that you're ready for the next part of that day. And lastly, I'd like to say to Commissioner James and the city manager, it's all about the you. Oh, you. Okay, got to do it right, right? There you go. All right. Anybody have any questions?
I think you're okay, Chief. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, that's it for our public safety reports. Let's move on to the consent agenda. Are there any items that we wish to pull from the consent agenda? Commissioner James?
Where are my notes? I have item 7.3.
Okay, item 7.3. And Vice Mayor Llewellyn?
7.5.
And item 7.5. Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exceptions of 7.3 and 7.5.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All right. Aye. All in favor? Aye. Throw me off 4 people here.
Mr. Mayor, would you like me to read 7.3 in?
Please.
It's a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach in its capacity as the Board of Trustees for the Memorial Park and West Lawn Cemeteries to amend the cemetery rules and regulations, providing for conflicts, further providing for an effective date. This is a public services item.
Hello.
Thank you. I just wanted some clarity on a few things that I saw on here. I really couldn't see it. It was a lot of, the PDF was fairly large. Okay. Hold on, let me go to it. Okay. The rules and regulations, what do you mean the mausoleum uniform tile installations? Can you elaborate on that?
Yes.
What the changes would be?
The approved material that we're going to add to make the tiles to be ceramic, and the tile will be provided by the cemetery to be engraved by a third party. We would not, ceramic tile. The individual who wants to, the family who wants to use the tile can get that engraved, and that's going to be the material. That's following best practices in most other.
So you mean that goes on the top and the bottom, or you mean the actual tiles that go over
in the mausoleum, on the actual vertically, on the wall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because I know that there are some that are decorated differently. Would would this stop that, or would they still be
just
able
the material, the ceramic, to stay uniform with that material. It could still be, of course, with the writing and the decoration, but the only distinction is ceramic material. That is the.
I don't know. I know one of them was kind of clear, so that one wouldn't be allowed anymore.
The ceramic, if it's ceramic, it's allowed.
I don't know if they have clear ceramic. I don't know
I'm
my
not
material.
sure either. I don't know that either, no.
Does someone have?
No, I don't know.
Because I don't know what it is, but I know some of them are kind of like the clear, and they have a different design on them.
Candido Sosa Cruz, Deputy City Manager. Commissioner James, the tile you're referring to is acrylic. It's the see-through acrylic. That would not be allowed anymore. It would be ceramic tile.
Okay, so, but that one's gonna stay, or do they have to change it, or? Or this is just moving forward?
Moving forward.
Yeah, you're
yes.
grandfathered in if you already have an
Of course, you're
existing-
grandfathered in, exactly.
Okay, that's fine. What are the differences in the holiday schedule and the temporary markers? Those are my other two questions.
Okay. The temporary markers will be installed by the cemetery staff, but only to be permitted for 90 days or 3 months. If after that, they have to become permanent markers. That's the other distinction. So the temporary for 3 months, 90 days. And
Okay,
again, we're
and what
following
happens
best
after 90
practices.
days?
Well, of course, we can be flexible, but the idea is to have some sort of ending to the temporary marker. So 90 days is the goal.
Okay.
Yeah. And what else? I'm sorry.
The
your other
holiday schedules?
Okay, the holiday schedule. Let me see if I can find that information here. There will be some major holidays on which we will not have the actual ceremony. I'm talking about the major holidays of the year.
There'll be major holidays that we won't have what?
The actual ceremonies,
Okay.
ceremony. In the big ones, not just Independence Day, New Year's Day, things like that.
Okay, so they'll be closed on certain holidays?
Yeah, well, not closed for the public to enter, but closed as far as having
For
a ceremony.
burials?
Yes, yes.
Okay, what are those holidays?
The 10 major holidays, Independence
10
Day,
major
Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Day, the first day of the year, Memorial Day, Labor Day.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I may, it's at page 9 of the rules, and it's rule number 3. The actual holidays themselves haven't changed. What has changed is that there will be no internments
Right.
scheduled on the Saturday that falls on a holiday weekend.
Okay.
So Saturday is Memorial Day, that weekend, that there wouldn't be an interment. Correct. Thank you.
And to be clear, it's New Year's Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July, Christmas Day, and the extended weekend. So for the extended weekends, we wanted to explain that if it's a holiday weekend like July 4th, that Saturday would not be
Right.
an internment.
What do you mean extended weekends?
The Saturday of an extended or a holiday weekend, like the 4th of July.
So if the 4th of July is on a Friday, they can't have a burial on the 5th?
If it's an extended weekend, let's say it's on a Monday and you have Saturday, yes, that's the intent.
Why, if
That's what they've
not?
asked for, because they have staffing issues.
And that's not uncommon in other cemeteries. In other words, on major holidays, if it's as the attorney explained, as Eves explained, if it happens to fall on a Saturday for that extended weekend, that Saturday we would not have staff to do the actual interment. It's not uncommon. That's for
I'm not
staffing.
saying it's uncommon. Okay, I'm just saying I don't understand if the 4th of July is on a Monday, why someone can bury their loved one on the Saturday prior to that. Is it because we're off, so
It's
they
part
don't
of the
want to do
weekend.
burials?
It's part of the long week. It's part of the extended weekend. That's why.
Okay.
Yeah, it only falls right. It doesn't fall always on a. Often July 4th could be on a Wednesday, so that's not going to affect most of the time. Only when it happens to fall on a Friday or a Monday.
Okay, I make a motion to pass 7.3.
I have a second from Vice Mayor Llewellyn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, the ayes have it. City Attorney, could you read item 7.5, please?
Absolutely. It's an ordinance of the City Commission amending Chapter 2 of the city's Code of Ordinances entitled Administration at Article 5 entitled Reserve by amending the article name to naming of city facilities and creating Section 2-101 entitled Naming of City-Owned Facilities, providing the authority to the City Commission to name or rename city-owned facilities, providing for conflict, severability, and an effective date. And this is sponsored by Commissioner James.
Vice Mayor Llewellyn?
So I don't know if Commissioner James wants to talk about this at all first, as far as why she's proposed this, or sponsored it. Well, yeah, you can, I'll talk about it, I just don't want to step on your toes since it is your item.
You pulled it, Vice Mayor.
That's fine with me. I'll go ahead,
Yeah.
and if it's an issue, then fine. I don't really have an issue with a naming ordinance per se, because a lot of cities and counties do have them. My concern is that I want us to be consistent with the other cities and the counties that do have them. Primarily, there's several things. This one is very, very detailed. Most of them are not quite this detailed, but they do have some things that are pretty standard, and that is the majority of them seem to be only for deceased people, not for living people, number one. They also do tend to have exceptions to things, specifically that if there's an elected official who is potentially going to run again for office, that they are not to be named, it's not to be named after them. That's something that the county just did recently. There's also, I also have a concern with the way that this is written. It's saying it only takes 3 people to approve something, but 4 people to rename it or remove somebody. If that's the case, it really should be 4 and 4, where it should be four commissioners to name, to identify who it's going to be, and as well as 4 to remove. Any of our significant decisions, which this would be a significant decision, I think should have a supermajority. Hollywood, for example, they have a rule that basically says it's deceased individuals only, but even in that case, they talk about it, they basically have a requirement that it's a 6 out of the 7 majority required in order to even identify who the person's going to be that they're going to name it after. So this has to take 2 readings, correct, City Attorney?
Correct.
So since this is a first reading, I just wanted to bring up a couple of these things so that maybe we can go back and take a look at some of the other ordinances that are the same or similar and see if there's something that we can do to make it more consistent so that we're not doing something that's completely different from every other city. That's all.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Commissioner James?
I just want to put on record, and I guess the city manager can answer this as well, because this is how this whole item was birthed. Because in redoing C.W. Thomas Park, I saw opportunities, just as we have seen in other cities, that you could name rooms corporately. Most of my questions about the naming of rooms and facilities came because of construction. Those are conversations I've also had with the city attorney. And so I saw an opportunity for the city to generate revenue off of possibly naming the field, naming internal parts of the different parks and things of that nature. I know that we saw a Miami Heat room, and they pay for all of the electronics. And, you know, I'm just trying to find ways for the city to be able to generate those funds and those monies. The whole thing about naming stuff after people while they're alive versus when they're dead, you can look around and see a lot of different street signs in a lot of different cities that are named after a lot of people that are living. I know Mr. Sarton was here, and I wish he still was here. It's really tiring and borderline disrespectful that every time something is brought up about something being named, that the first thing that they say, what if I commit a crime? He didn't say me today, but I've heard different meetings about different things of that nature. I just think that's, for lack of better terms, pathetic, that's the first thing that comes out of people's mouths who are being honored for a reason. So anything that was ever named after me or anything I was honored for, number 1, I did not bring to the table. Number 2, I probably wasn't in the country for some of them. And number 3, I cannot help people giving me my flowers while I'm alive. And so I'm not going to apologize for that. That's ridiculous. As far as, you know, some of the concerns that you had about major decisions that we make always require 4. We can hire and fire the city attorney with 3. We can hire and fire the CRA director with 3. And so if we want to make things consistent completely across the board, let's make things completely across the board. My reasoning for saying 4 to take anything down, number 1, is because I wouldn't want someone to sit up here and have something named after someone, and then an election happens, and then someone else gets up here and try to tear down everything that someone else had done. That was my reasoning for it. It has nothing to do with any personal interest. That's what I came up with the city attorney. And as far as that, I don't see any other issues. I guess I'll wait to see what my colleagues say about it.
Thank you, Commissioner James. Commissioner Salvino?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. You know, I think Vice Mayor brought up the fact that this is the first reading, and it does have to come back again. So I think, just in listening to the conversations between everybody that, if we were to not even do a first reading, if we wanted to redo it or whatever, by going back, because if we have a first reading, then we have a second reading, then it changes around. We're not really voting on what the first reading is. So I don't understand, you see what I'm saying? I don't, if we go back and change it, make it according to what other cities have or what we're bringing more consistency to it, we're really not voting on this thing again. It'd be a whole different thing if we're going to do that.
As long as you don't change the title and you're not adding a new topic, you can make edits
Okay.
between first and second
Okay,
reading.
well, I'm not an attorney. I mean, I just want to make sure that,
Yes.
by the first reading, that it's not going to come back and then there's a lot
I
of.
just need direction on what you're looking for as far as.
Well, the consistency is what she's looking for, and I think that if we had consistency across the board, whether it's the 3 votes or 4 votes, whether it's the what city does this, I mean, we don't have to be like every other city either.
You do not.
But, the thing is that, pardon me? Somebody talking? I didn't hear it. I'm sorry. Okay. As far as the consistency goes, I think that, we can do that. And then again, Commissioner James brought up a fact that too, I mean, we have a right to vote, and at that time, it doesn't make a difference on who it is or what it is. If we don't like it, at that time, you don't vote for that person. I mean, it's not like you're getting, this is who I want. You bring it up and you talk about it, and that's what we're up here for, to do it. But I think if we, just being careful about the ordinance and, as you do it, I just don't want to have it come up here again and be completely different and start over again, that's all. That's my input.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Salvino. Vice Mayor Llewellyn?
Yeah, and I'm not saying that, first of all, this is not a personal thing. It has nothing to do with Commissioner James. This is just looking at all of the other ordinances that are out there. And this is the way that they tend to be written, is there are very specific things in there. And it's not just one city, it's every city, pretty much, as well as the county. Like I said, the county just went through this in February, and that had to do with a sitting judge and naming a courtroom after a judge. It's not about streets, it's not about anything else, it's about public facilities, it's about city facilities. And to have an opportunity, this is why we do first readings and second readings, because things do change in between, and you can make edits in between. And this is a proposed ordinance, and part of what we do is we talk about this. I don't disagree with you that maybe it should be 4 and 4 across the board for hiring a city attorney and hiring and firing or whatnot, a CRA director as well as a city manager, because that's what we have for the city manager. All 3 are very important positions. But in this case, what I see in every other city and the counties is either unanimous decision or supermajority on making this type of decision. I have not seen any other city where it's just a standard majority. It's just not. That's one that I think really needs to be done. I'm not opposed to having a naming ordinance at all, and I don't have a problem with that. And I absolutely think that you should take the opportunity to bring in corporate money to pay for things and to do all that. That's great. That's not what this is about. There's other aspects of it here that I think need to be looked at. Just compare, to compare them and see what makes the most sense. And no, it doesn't mean that we have to be like everybody else, but we also don't want to go too far astray from everybody else either, because then that could bring up other problems. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Commissioner James?
You have anything to say first, Mayor, before I come back?
Go ahead.
All right. So in the effort of trying to get somewhere with this, I don't mind about the 4 and 4. That doesn't bother me. I'm not married to that. My purpose was to not let someone come in and completely just change that with 3 votes. So are you guys okay with changing that? You don't care? Okay. City Attorney, that part. I do need to understand the one with if a part of a facility or a room or something is named after someone, they can never run again?
I'm just saying that's what they said in the county.
Oh, so hold on.
Yeah, put both those on.
If you look at Broward County's new ordinance, that was something very specific that they put into their ordinance, is they said that it had to do because there was a sitting judge, and they wanted to name a courtroom after a sitting judge, and the statement was made that the exception that was made was that it could not be named after a sitting elected official or an incumbent who was going to be running again. And that was the decision that the county made for theirs, and that was what they voted on.
Okay, well, I don't know what people are going to do in their future. I can't foresee that. I'm turned out in 2024. I don't know if I'll come back or not in 2 years. Probably not. But if I did decide, I don't want anything to be to say that you couldn't run because you have a room or a computer room or something named after you. So I think a county judge and the prestige of naming a courtroom is completely different than what we are doing here. And so that's one I disagree with. So is there anything else other than those two? Are there, I meant from Vice Mayor Llewellyn. So a
Go
lot.
ahead, Vice Mayor, let's
whole
tweak this
ordinance.
now,
Yeah.
and then we can bring it back again.
The notification requirement of 1 mile?
1 mile, yeah.
You had an issue, yeah, it's a
You
money
could do
thing.
2 miles. I'm not married.
I would reduce
I'd
it to
reduce it.
1,000 feet. That's what our current ordinance is right now.
That's fine. I'm
for
not
public
married to
hearing.
that.
1,000 feet's a good amount. I
That's
think
what we do
1
for our
mile,
development.
that's,
Excessive?
it's just pretty expensive for the city. You know, we probably spend $6,000 to $10,000 probably.
I'm
both
okay
on-
with reducing it.
Yeah, I would say we reduce it. The voting, also, I like the supermajority vote.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Dania, we're not the largest city, and I'm not totally opposed with naming things after the living. You know, obviously, you have to qualify, you have to get approved, you have to get suggested. It goes to the Parks Board. The commission has to vote on it, and we're about to have a lot more facilities available through our park system. So, you know, I have faith that our residents and our commission, our Parks and Rec will, you know, do the proper vetting. I know you have to go through a background check if you're still alive, but, you know, this doesn't mean we're just going to put,
Correct.
you know, the A.J. Ryan, Lori Llewellyn, Commissioner Salvino, you know, Commissioner James ballpark. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
We're starting to pay more homage to our history, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that haven't been recognized in the past in the city that deserve a little recognition. So, and you know, they could be elderly now. I was just speaking how they, in Miami, Larry Little, who's the Dolphins' great two-time Super Bowl champion, NFL Hall of Famer, they just named Larry Little Street in front of Northwestern High School where he attended high school. This man is like in his 80s,
Mhm.
and it took him a whole life of serving and being a great athlete and a great contributor to the community to get his a street named after him while he's still living. So if we could live to a standard like that, then I'm totally for it. That's fine. And yeah, you know, just I think there's a couple tweaks. It's good that we have this ordinance in because now we could actually have something to follow. But yeah, I would say the voting, the distance, and those are probably my two concerns that
Okay.
I think we could change. Yeah.
So do we have consensus on that?
Yes, for me.
Consensus? I say
He
we have
doesn't
consensus.
care.
Yeah.
So to be clear, that's not going to change the title, so I will
No.
make the amendments at subsection C as to the distance to 1,000 feet from a 1 mile, and then as to page 4, under subsection D, the changing of the voting requirement. Just to be clear, the one thing I'm not changing is that we can remove with
4/5.
with 3/5 if it's something that happens that's a moral turpitude or something like
Or a
criminal
felony.
happens.
Well, felony's
felony.
automatic removal.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, okay.
So I just wanted to be clear with that.
Okay, perfect. All right, we have no bids and requests for proposals. Oh, sorry, yeah, we have to do a motion, I'm sorry. We have the consensus for the second reading.
3.5.
Go ahead, Commissioner Salvino.
7.5. I make a motion to approve 7.5.
As amended, correct?
As amended.
As amended, okay. I have a second from Commissioner James, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Okay, now we'll go to public hearings,
Would you like me to read 9.1?
please.
A resolution of the City Commission approving the site plan for the applicant, Spirit Airlines, Inc., for property generally located at south of North Mariner Street, west of Bryan Road, north of Radiant Drive, and east of Waypoint Avenue, within the city of Dania Beach, providing for conditions, conflicts, and an effective date.
Good evening. Corinne LaJoy, Assistant Director in Community Development Department. This is for the Spirit Headquarters Phase 2 site plan that is before us today. I do have a presentation. This is located within the Dania Point development itself, and is, like I said, it is a Phase 2 of the project. Phase 1 is currently under construction today. The Phase 2 includes expansion of the...
Excuse me, Corinne, just two things. One, I need to swear you and anyone else is going to be testifying as we're going forward. And also, I wanted to see if we can do disclosures if there are any. So could you and anyone else from staff or the audience that is going to be speaking on the application raise your right hands? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. And before you continue with your presentation, are there any disclosures by the elected officials on the dais? Seeing none, thank you.
Sure, there's a delay. It's working now. Okay, thank you. So this is the location of the site. I think we're all familiar with it. It's on the north end of the Dania Point facility, and as I said, they're currently under construction with Phase 1, which includes an office building, a garage, and the SIM building as well. The Phase 2 that they're proposing is going to include the garage expansion with 646 new parking spaces, as well as a second office building. It will mirror the first office building, and it's approximately 172,000 square feet for this new office building. You can see on this site plan, the white areas is kind of where the new facilities are being. So the area on the north end of the parking garage is the new part that's being proposed. And then the building that's nestled in between the first office building and the SIM building, that's the new office footprint as well. This project was presented to the City Commission in 2001, and I believe they got a site plan modification later that same year, which included an ancillary building for a cafeteria and gym for the facility. The site, the total site area includes 8.5 acres within Dania Point. It is located on the west side of Bryan Road. And as I said, Phase 1 is currently under construction. I do have a rendering of what that Phase 1 looks like today. You can see the garage and the office building is there. They're just, I guess, putting final touches on the structure. This is what the new Phase 2 office building would look like. You can see how it's kind of stuck in between the Phase 1 office and the SIM training facility. I'm sorry? Yes, and actually what you can't really see is in between that is a lower profile building, and that's where the cafeteria and the gym is located. It's kind of overshadowed by those two office buildings. So from the west, you'll have the parking garage. Traveling east, you'll have the Phase 1 office. To the east of that is the cafeteria and gym. To the east of that is this new office building for Phase 2, and east of that is the SIM building. That's what fronts on Bryan Road. I know the applicant has a presentation. I think they might have some more pictures to show you to help you get oriented. The applicant, we have asked the applicant to do community outreach efforts prior to this meeting, and I know that they'll be able to speak to those efforts in a few moments. The site plan did go through DRC and was reviewed in October and December of last year. There are some outstanding DRC comments that remain, and that would be conditions of approval that are currently identified in the resolution, should that be approved today.
Corinne, which is the one that was being deleted from the agenda?
It's regarding the public art impact fee. Because this is a Phase 2 of the project, we're only going to assess the public art impact fee one time on them, not with each phase. So this is where I identify it's a one-time payment for this project.
So that's
on
number
this
3.
slide. Right, so it's been removed from the conditions listed in the resolution because they've already paid that with a Phase 1. But also transportation mitigation fees are also assessed based on the new projected traffic demands of that new building, the new office building. The application supports the city's strategic plan through the value of our neighborhoods and communities by protecting and enhancing property values and expanding business investment in the city of Dania Beach. Staff, the application meets the requirements of the land development regulations and the Dania Point development design guidelines for the site plan. Therefore, staff's recommending approval, that the City Commission approve the resolution, provided those outstanding conditions of approval are identified and must be addressed prior to the issuance of the permit. And I know the applicant is here, and they do have a presentation prepared if you'd like to hear from them, but I'm available if you have any questions.
Commissioner Salzino?
Yeah, I have a question for you, Corinne.
Yes, sir.
I mean, there's 3 buildings that are up now, and there's going to be
Yes,
2 more buildings?
yes.
Okay. How come they only pay 1 public art fee?
It's the same project, and we do have, because it's the same project, it's just phases of the same project. And we also have a maximum cap, at which they have maxed out, and they've reached that with the value of the structures.
So that means that the gentleman that's going to build 2 buildings side by side on Dania Beach Boulevard, he only had to pay 1 fee, he doesn't have to pay 2 fees. 'Cause that's down there across from the casino. I'm not, I mean,
CV1 and CV2.
right.
Per property.
Yeah, this is, yeah, I think what Eleanor is stating, that this is a parcel, a property, and there's multiple building
If
pads
they're not on
within
the
the
same
property.
parcel or across the street, I'm just making sure that our city's getting the right thing, because I think that sounds a little bit impartial at this point, because they're across the block, they're not on the same street, and it's not on the same, it's in the same, it's in the same project, but so will the Seaview be, and they're making them pay $250,000.
Well,
for
the
their-
Seaview are 2 different folios, 2 different parcels. There's a street
I
that
just know
separates
that,
them.
I'm just afraid something's gonna come back and bite somebody, because I don't think what we were talking about earlier about being equal on certain things, and I know that, I mean, don't get me wrong, I want Spirit here with all my heart, but we catch it from the public when they hear these things, just so you know.
Thank you. Eleanor, Community Development Director.
Hi, Eleanor.
Hi. So there is, in the ordinance, there is a max contribution per development, per project. So this is Spirit project, it's just a phase 2 of Spirit. They're adding additional buildings to it. So they, even though their value is increasing on that project, they've already met the threshold of the $250,000. They can't pay anymore. The ordinance
Because
doesn't
you're
allow
considered
it.
it all one project is what it is.
Correct. Where Seaview 1 and Seaview 2 are 2 different projects, 2 different parcels, 2 different.
Just need the
Site plan.
explanation so that we don't get beat up on anything out here, okay?
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Eleanor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner James?
I forgot my question.
Okay. You guys give your presentation, please.
Is it? They want to see it. Does the commission want to see it?
I'd like to see it.
Right.
Yeah.
Good evening, Liz Summerstein, Greenstone Martyr, 200 East Broward Boulevard, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Our presentation is actually very similar to what you just saw. Does this work for the? Kind of skip through it, or does it work? Okay. This is just an overview showing you where the site is again. Really where our presentation differs is just some additional renderings of the building. So you can see here a cross-section of the different phases. And again, this is the phase 1 is not really, is more the grayed out area. That's the SIM building over to the left. The office building, the new proposed building is right there in between those 2 lines, and then the parking garage over to the right. This is a rendering of the new proposed Phase 2 office building. I believe this is from, what is this, the southwest? Oop. Yes, and then you can see the little building that we were talking about, the amenity building is right, I don't have a laser pointer, but that little short, the 2-story building right in between the 2.
Okay.
And those buildings, the 2 office buildings and the amenity building, they're connected. So if people who are in the office space, they don't have to go outside to go into that cafeteria area there.